Starting wars and ending wars has always been a thing of profit for superpowers like the United States of America, and Donald Trump just opened another business in Africa because when the ink dried on the Congo-Rwanda peace deal, only a few understood why the United States smiled the most. The world applauded when the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda signed a historic peace deal. Cameras flashed, diplomats shook hands, and the official narratives celebrated the new dawn. But beneath the polished speeches lingered a question no press statement could silence. Who actually benefited?
Today, the United States is also signing our own bilateral agreements with the Congo and Rwanda that will unlock new opportunities for the United States to access critical minerals and provide economic benefits for everybody. And we'll be involved with sending some of our biggest and greatest companies over to the two countries. And we're going to take out some of the rare earth and take out some of the assets and pay, and everybody's going to make a lot of money.
Behind closed doors, American negotiators had been unusually enthusiastic, pressing both sides towards reconciliation. On the surface, it looked like diplomacy at its finest, ending cross-border tensions, reducing militia influence, and stabilizing communities that were torn apart by decades and decades of conflict. But deep in the mineral-rich soil, where cobalt, coltan, and rare earth minerals lay buried, the real story began. Under pressure from endless violence and economic collapse, the Congolese leadership pitched a controversial offer: peace in return for security and investment. Specifically, they signaled willingness to grant privileged access to their mineral resources in exchange for external backing. And the US, eager to reduce dependence on rival powers, notably China, for critical minerals, seized the opportunity. The resulting agreement between the DRC and Rwanda, which was negotiated and brokered by the United States of America, along with some other people, was formally signed on June 27, 2025 and ratified in December of the same year. On paper, the deal promised to pull the region out of conflict, which includes the provision of troop withdrawals, security cooperation, disarmament of non-state armed groups, and cross-border economic integration, along with a framework for mineral trade. As a result of this, opening the door to Western mining companies. And as peace settled in, new contracts quietly emerged. American-linked corporations started receiving exclusive exploration rights. Promised development partnership turned into mining agreements with ambiguous clauses. While communities hoped peace would mean safety and dignity, heavy machines started rolling into the territories whose people were never consulted. At first, local leaders believed the United States was championing humanitarian progress, but within months, rumors spread. Villages displaced for mining sites, environmental destruction blamed on foreign industrial partners, and security forces suddenly strengthened projects to strategic zones. Meanwhile, supply chains for tech manufacturing in the West seemed miraculously secured from conflict risks, just as global industries cried shortages. Even Rwanda gained from the sudden quiet. Trade corridors opened, funding increased, and security partnership expanded. Congo, meanwhile, watched billions in minerals wealth flow outward again, this time wrapped in language of peace. The twist came when investigative journalists uncovered leaked communication hinting that the United States had previously assured Rwanda major economic incentives if it supported the peace deal, while guaranteeing American companies privileged access afterwards. What looked like an equal partnership between African neighbors had become a geopolitical trade. And let me remind us at this point that the conflict in Eastern DRC is not simply a dispute between two governments. It involves dozens of armed groups, entrenched ethnic tensions, decades of violence and exploitation and displacement. So what I see in this situation, by focusing on a top-down deal between regimes, the agreement bypasses root causes, which are like armed proliferation, political exclusion, local grievances, corruption, and the social fragmentation that sustained military coups. Critics call the deal a mineral deal first, and opportunity for peace second. And of course, while the DRC has offered access to minerals, there is little assurance that the wealth will benefit the local communities. And as one expert warned, there there is a scant mention in the deal of processing minerals within the DRC. Raw materials could be exported without adding value locally. And even few days after signing the agreement, rebel groups, including those ones backed by Rwanda, remain active in parts of eastern Congo. Control over mineral mining sites, smuggling routes, and local population remain contested unless structural reforms in governance, security, and justice are prioritized. The deal may simply shift the way minerals are extracted, not the dynamics of exploitation. So by tying the Democratic Republic of Congo's security and economic future to an external superpower's strategic interest, the agreement risks undermining sovereignty. The DRC's leadership may have little real leverage once they've granted access. They become dependent on foreign investment, foreign firms, and foreign shielded security. So if we look at it together, the peace agreement didn't look like a resolution. It looked like a transaction, and in that moment, many Congolese began to wonder if peace had been signed for them or over them. I will leave us today with this compelling closure that says, in a world where power hides behind diplomacy, peace may arrive without justice. Signatures may carry invisible conditions, and the loudest victory may belong not to the nations signing the agreement, but to the hands digging quietly beneath their soil. The Trump's plan for Congo, Rwanda has all the signals that have won Africa over and over again, and we are falling in the same trap. Watch this video that I'm going to be leaving us with that was published a long time ago. We will see the African shining prince, that is Malcolm X, spitting fire about bewaring of such situation. Thank you.
I see. In other words, if a black man cannot have a white man as a friend.
He may have a white man who's friendly, but being friendly and being a friend, I think, are two different things. I think there are many whites who act friendly toward Negroes. A fox acts friendly toward the lamb. And usually the fox is the one who ends up with the lamb chop on his plate. The wolf doesn't act friendly, and therefore the wolf has more difficulty in getting the lamb chop in his plate.
I'd like to point out, though, that...
I say that because it is usually if you study the structure of the Negro community, economically, politically, civically, psychologically, and otherwise, it's controlled by the white liberal, who usually poses as the friend of the Negro, who actually differs from the white conservative in the same way that the fox differs from the wolf. Their appetite is the same. Their motives are the same. It's only their mannerisms and methods that differ.